Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. You know how some honeymoons are filled with candlelit dinners, private beaches, and the kind of romance that belongs in a travel brochure? Well, this one started that way. Today in the rLounge, a hard realization that the best wedding gift is a good set of boundaries. Sister-in-law crashed my honeymoon because she needed space to heal. We left her at the resort with the bills. I, 32 female, just got back from what was supposed to be my dream honeymoon with my husband, Jake, 34 male. Instead, it turned into a nightmare thanks to my sister-in-law, Megan, 29 female. Jake and I had been together for 3 years before we got married. Our wedding was beautiful, and everything went according to plan, despite some minor drama with Megan. She'd been single for about 8 months after her fiancé cheated on her and called off their engagement. She's been milking this for attention non-stop. During our wedding, Megan made several passive-aggressive comments about marriage. When we were cutting the cake, she loudly said, "Enjoy it while it lasts." When my mom complimented how happy Jake and I looked, Megan snorted and said, "That's what everyone thought about me and Rick, too." Jake noticed, but asked me to let it slide since she was going through a tough time. I agreed because I didn't want any drama on our wedding day. After the wedding, Jake and I left for our honeymoon. We had been saving for this trip for over a year and booked a luxury resort for 2 weeks. It cost us $12,000 total, which was a lot for us, but we figured our honeymoon was worth the splurge. We were so excited to finally have some privacy and romance after months of stressful wedding planning. The first 2 days were absolute bliss. The resort was even more beautiful than the pictures online. Our room had a private plunge pool overlooking the ocean. The staff was incredibly attentive, and the food was amazing. Jake and I spent our time relaxing on the beach, getting couples massages and enjoying romantic dinners. It was everything we had dreamed of. Then, on our third night, while we were having dinner at one of the resort's restaurants, I noticed Jake's face suddenly go pale. Before I could ask what was wrong, I heard a familiar voice behind me. "Surprise!" I turned around to see Megan standing there with a huge smile on her face, like this was the most normal thing in the world. I was completely shocked. Jake asked what she was doing here, and she casually explained that she decided to join our honeymoon because she needed space to heal from her breakup. Apparently, she had used Jake's credit card information, which she had from helping from some of our wedding planning, to book her flight and a room at the same resort. She acted like she was doing us a favor by keeping us company, and that we should be grateful she came all this way. I was speechless. Jake pulled Megan aside to privately talk while I sat there trying to process what was happening. When they came back, Jake looked defeated. He later told me that Megan had broken down crying, saying everyone only cared about me now and nobody cared about her pain. She claimed she couldn't bear to be alone with her thoughts and needed family support. Jake, being the kind person he is, felt guilty and told me we should just make the best of it. I was furious, but tried to be understanding for Jake's sake. I suggested that maybe Megan could do her own thing during the day and we could meet up for dinner occasionally, but that's not what happened at all. The next day, Megan joined us for breakfast and announced she had signed us all up for a guided tour of a local temple. When I mentioned that Jake and I had planned to go snorkeling, she pouted and said, "But I already paid for the tour. I can't go alone in a foreign country." This became the pattern for the next few days. Megan inserted herself into all of our activities. She constantly talked about her ex and how he ruined her life. She ordered the most expensive items on the menu, knowing Jake was paying. When I suggested that maybe she could do something on her own so Jake and I could have some alone time, she accused me of being selfish and not understanding what she was going through. When Jake and I tried to have a romantic dinner alone, we specifically told Megan we needed some private time, and she agreed to order room service. But halfway through our meal, guess who coincidentally showed up at the same restaurant? She claimed she got bored in her room and decided to check out the restaurant, not knowing we'd be there, despite us telling her exactly where we were going. She invited herself to join us, ordered several expensive cocktails, and got increasingly drunk. She started loudly telling other guests how her fiancé cheated on her, how marriage is a sham, and how Jake was the only decent man left. It was humiliating. The final straw was when she knocked over a bottle of wine, spilling it all over my dress, then laughed and said, "Oops, guess you'll have to cut dinner short now." Back in our room, I broke down. I told Jake this wasn't a honeymoon anymore. It was babysitting his adult sister. To my relief, he finally admitted the situation was unbearable. The next morning, while Megan was getting a massage that Jake paid for, we packed our bags and went to the front desk. We explained the situation to the manager, who was surprisingly understanding. We paid our portion of the bill and made it clear that Megan would be responsible for her own charges from that point forward. We also left a note at the front desk for Megan explaining that we had left to salvage what remained of our honeymoon. We booked flights to Bora Bora and found a new resort. It was an additional expense we hadn't planned for, but we decided our marriage was worth it. When we arrived at the new resort, we turned off our phones and finally got to enjoy our actual honeymoon. When we finally turned our phones back on, we found dozens of missed calls and angry texts. Megan was furious, claiming we had abandoned her with a $4,000 bill she couldn't pay. She had to call her parents to bail her out. Jake's parents were angry at us for being cruel to Megan when she was just trying to heal. My parents were thankfully on our side and thought what Megan did was completely inappropriate. When we returned home, Jake's parents were waiting at our house. They demanded we apologize to Megan and reimburse them for her resort bill and emergency flight home. I refused to apologize and explained how Megan had ruined our honeymoon by inviting herself and using Jake's credit card without permission. Jake stood by me and told his parents that Megan had crossed a line and needed to respect boundaries. The next day, she showed up at our house, screaming about how we had humiliated her by leaving her stranded in a foreign country. She demanded we pay her resort bill and flight home. Jake told her she needed therapy, not a honeymoon chaperone. Jake's parents called later to say they had paid Morgan's bill to keep the peace, but expected Jake to reimburse them. We refused. Jake's father threatened to cut him out of the will if we didn't make things right with Megan. Was I wrong for leaving sister-in-law at the resort with the bills? Should we just pay to keep the peace with Jake's family? I don't think we should, but the family pressure is intense. Edit. Some details people are asking about. 1. Yes, Megan knew this was our honeymoon. It wasn't a misunderstanding. 2. Jake canceled the credit card she had information for as soon as we realized what happened. 3. We did try to talk to Megan rationally before leaving. She refused to listen and made everything about her pain. 4. Jake's parents have a history of enabling Megan's behavior. She still lives with them rent-free at 29. 5. The resort confirmed they explained to Megan that she would be responsible for her own charges when we left, so she wasn't blindsided by the bill. 6. We left enough cash for her to get a taxi to the airport if she wanted to leave immediately. 7. No, we don't plan on paying her bills. That was her choice when she crashed our honeymoon. 8. Jake is fully on my side and agrees what his sister did was completely inappropriate. Edit 2. Thank you all for the supportive comments. It helps to know we're not crazy for thinking this was inappropriate. Jake and I are discussing setting firmer boundaries with his family going forward. We decided not to pay a cent toward Megan's bills regardless of the family fallout. Our marriage comes first. Edit 3. For those asking why Jake had his credit card info accessible to Megan, she helped us book some wedding vendors when we were overwhelmed with planning, and Jake gave her his credit card for deposits. We never imagined she would save the information and use it for something like this. Lesson learned. Edit 4. To clarify about the $4,000 bill, this included her room, all her food and drinks, including room service and multiple spa treatments, plus several expensive excursions she booked for herself after we left. The resort provided an itemized bill that his parents sent us when demanding reimbursement. Edit 5. Some people are suggesting we press charges for credit card fraud. We've considered it, but are hesitant to escalate the family drama further. However, if Megan continues her behavior, we might have no choice. Edit 6. Jake just got off the phone with his brother, who revealed this isn't the first time Megan has pulled something like this. Apparently, she showed up uninvited to their cousin's destination wedding last year and caused similar drama. His family just keeps enabling her because that's just how Megan is. Well, not with us. Edit 7. We decided to take a break from Jake's family. For a while. We were turning off our phones this weekend and focusing on enjoying our new life together without the drama. Thank you for all the support and advice. You're not wrong for leaving her at the resort, not even a little bit. She used Jake's credit card without asking, crashed your honeymoon, hijacked your plans, and then made you out to be the bad guys when you finally put your foot down. That's not someone who's healing. You did the right thing. Update. It's been about 2 weeks since. My post went viral, which I wasn't expecting, but the comments really helped. The silent treatment from Jake's family has continued, but honestly, it's been a relief not having to deal with them. We've been enjoying our time as newlyweds without the constant drama. However, Megan has escalated her behavior in ways I couldn't have imagined. 3 days after I met post, I started getting notifications that someone was tagging me in posts on social media. Megan created multiple fake accounts to harass me online. She's been posting things like husband stealer and family destroyer on photos from our wedding. The most bizarre part is she's implying that I somehow stole Jake from her. They were never romantically involved. She's his sister. It's disturbing on so many levels. I took screenshots of everything before blocking the accounts. When new ones popped up, I documented those too. Jake was horrified when I showed him. He immediately called his cousin Emma, who he's always been close with, to see if Megan had said anything to the extended family. Emma revealed that Megan has a history of sabotaging relationships in the family. She pulled similar stunts at their other brother's Mike's wedding 3 years ago. She showed up to the rehearsal dinner announcing she'd been fired. She hadn't, and needed everyone's support, which derailed the entire evening. Then at the wedding, she faked a panic attack during the ceremony to get attention. She also told us that Megan has been telling family members that Jake and I abandoned her in a dangerous foreign country with no money, and that we stole her passport, so she couldn't leave. None of this is true. We left her with access to her room, all her belongings, and even some cash for transportation. The resort was a luxury 5-star property with full security and staff who spoke English, and we certainly didn't touch her passport. The day after talking with Emma, Jake got a call from his mother. Her tone had softened somewhat, though she was still defending Megan. She revealed that Megan had been living with them rent-free for years, even before her breakup. She admitted that Megan might need some professional help, but didn't know how to approach that subject without Megan feeling attacked. Jake told his mom about the fake social media accounts and the lies Megan was spreading. His mom seemed genuinely surprised and promised to talk to Megan about it. Whether she actually will or not remains to be seen. Then came the biggest bombshell. Jake decided to review all his credit card statements from the past year just to make sure there weren't any unauthorized charges we hadn't noticed. What we found was shocking. Megan had been using his credit card information for months before the honeymoon incident. There were charges for clothing stores, restaurants, even a weekend spa getaway, all totaling over $7,000 that we hadn't noticed because they were spread out over time and mixed in with our wedding expenses. Jake was livid. We immediately filed a police report for credit card fraud. I knew some commenters suggested this on my original post, and you were right. This crossed the line from family drama to criminal activity. 2 days after filing the report, Megan was served with papers. Her reaction? She showed up at our house, hysterical and threatening to harm herself if we didn't drop the charges. She was screaming that we were ruining her life and that she'd make us sorry if we went through with this. When her threats escalated, we called emergency services. They took her for psychiatric evaluation, which was honestly the best thing that could have happened. The doctors determined she needed to stay for observation for at least 72 hours. During this time, Jake's parents finally seemed to grasp the severity of the situation. His father called. Jake's parents apologized to us for enabling Megan's behavior for so long. His mother broke down crying, saying she was afraid of Megan's emotional outbursts that she found it easier to just give in to her demands. His father admitted he never wanted to see anything wrong with his little girl and convinced himself her behavior was just being passionate. The credit card company has reversed most of the fraudulent charges. Some of you asked in the comments of my original post if this situation had affected our relationship. Honestly, it's made us stronger. We've had to present a united front against intense family pressure, and that's brought us closer together. We've also had some tough conversations about boundaries and family dynamics that most couples don't have until years into marriage. I still have moments of anger when I think about our ruined honeymoon and all the stress that it caused, but I'm trying to focus on the positive. We did eventually get a romantic time together in Bora Bora, and this whole ordeal has forced Jake's family to finally address Megan's issues. We're planning to take a real vacation, just the two of us, in a few months when things have hopefully calmed down, and this time we're telling absolutely no one where we're going. Edit. Several people have asked about Jake's relationship with his parents going forward. We're maintaining limited contact for now. For those concerned about Megan having access to our new address or personal information, we've taken precautions. To clarify about the honeymoon costs, we did end up spending about $8,000 more than planned between the lost days in the first resort, last-minute flights to Bora Bora, and the new accommodations. It was worth every penny. Update 2. It's been about 2 months since my last update about my sister-in-law Megan crashing our honeymoon, and I wanted to share some significant developments. Jake and I have maintained low contact with his family during that time, which has honestly been good for our mental health and our marriage. In other news, I discovered I'm pregnant. We're both thrilled to have decided to keep the information private. My family knows and is over the moon excited. Last week, Jake's parents invited us to dinner to discuss moving forward as a family. We agreed but set clear conditions. Megan wouldn't be present, and the conversation would remain respectful. To our surprise, they agreed to all our terms without pushback. The dinner went surprisingly well. On a lighter note, Jake and I finally got our honeymoon photos printed. We created a beautiful album of our time, the part of our honeymoon that was actually romantic and special. Jake framed our favorite sunset photo for our bedroom. We've decided to tell Jake's family about the pregnancy at the end of the month. We're cautiously optimistic they'll respect our boundaries regarding the baby. We've already discussed some ground rules. No unannounced visits, no undermining our parenting decisions, and absolutely no using the baby as leverage to force interactions with Megan before we're ready. Edit. To those asking if we're going to try for a do-over honeymoon before the baby comes, We decided against it. I'm already experiencing morning sickness, and the idea of traveling doesn't appeal to me right now. Instead, we're planning a baby moon weekend at a local resort in a few months when I'm in my second trimester. Several people have asked if we dropped the police report completely. We've put it on hold with the understanding that if Megan continues her progress and sticks to the repayment plan we've worked out, she's paying us $200 a month, we won't pursue charges. So far, she's made 2 payments on time. Thank you for all the baby name suggestions. We're keeping our choices private for now, but we appreciate the thoughtfulness. And no, we definitely won't be considering Megan as a middle name, as one commenter jokingly suggested. Enabling someone like that doesn't help anyone, least of all Megan. Hopefully her time under observation and the consequences she's facing now lead her toward real change. But I'm glad you've taken precautions either way. And now a baby! What an incredible silver lining to come out of all this chaos. Congratulations! Keeping that news private until you're ready is 100% the right call. I'm also really glad to hear you're laying down those parenting boundaries now. It's way easier to set expectations from the beginning than it is to scramble to enforce them later. What's the wildest thing a family member has done to hijack your big moment? We want to hear your stories. And thank you for joining us today in the rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time.